Okay, once again, good to see you. This is Michael Sage TV, and this is another series on the things that might not attract God. Okay, before He can give you an assignment or an important task to carry out, or before He can become a chosen one, there are some things that don't matter, and there are the things that matter, the three major things that matter. We've already treated it in the series I just concluded with the red traditional attire. You can go through that and you can learn more from there. Then now we're looking at, now that we know the things that God looks at before He can choose one to represent Him, to carry out His will on earth. Now, what are those things that He doesn't look at? Like I said, everything we teach here is based on scriptures and based on revelation. We don't just talk here, and even the movies you see on this channel, apart from the comedies, anyone that is spiritual, there must be a reference that backs it up. Okay, so now talking about what God doesn't look at before He chooses one for an important assignment. What doesn't look at before He chooses one for an important assignment? Number one is this: God doesn't look at the physical appearance of a person. Okay, the physical appearance of a person is not important. So when I say the physical appearance of a person, I mean that whether the person is tall, whether the person is short, whether the person is fat or slim or dark, white, brown, the color of the person, the physical appearance does not matter. Okay, because this can also be found in the book of Samuel. When Samuel went to the house of Jesse, and he didn't know. God has not given him the name of the boy. He just told him, go to the house of Jesse, and I will show you who my king is among the sons of Jesse. So when he got to the house of Jesse, he asked Jesse to bring out his boys. As soon as the first one came out, and Samuel was carried away because the boy was so handsome, and he was also in the military. He was in the military, the Israel military. So Prophet Samuel felt that, oh, this must be the boy. He's so handsome and he looks strong. And what happened? God told Samuel that no, that is not the person that I've chosen. In fact, God had to correct Samuel. God told Samuel that you humans, you like to look at the physical appearance of the person. This is a big lesson that we just learn from God. That we need to learn from God. He said, humans, you look at the physical appearance. The physical appearance is good. Yes, that's the beauty of a person. Your physical appearance is the beauty. God says that is not a yardstick for my measurement of a person. That he told Samuel, said, I don't look at the physical appearance of the person to choose him for a particular purpose. I look at the heart. In fact, God made us understand that we humans, this is what we look at. He said we look at the physical appearance of a person. He said, humans, you people like to look at the physical appearance of a person. He said, but me, God, I look at the heart. So he said, I have not chosen him. So that was how he corrected Samuel. And Samuel said, oh, I'm sorry, sir. Please. Then Samuel quickly took correction and told the boy that no, you are not the one. So that was where he got himself. And the second one came. He said, no, the spirit has not moved. The third one came. The fourth, the fifth, the sixth, and the seventh. 7 boys came. and they are all handsome. Because even David himself is handsome. Because I always say that when David came, David looked so handsome. Do you get it? So now the seven boys have come and none of them was picked. Then that was when Samuel asked. Was Samuel supposed to ask first? Because they didn't think of David. Because David was not relevant in that household. David was not needed. David was not important in that household. So he said, um, is there anybody? Are they all your sons? Excuse me, please. So he asked Samuel, he said, are these all your sons? Then Samuel said, and Samuel asked Jesse, are these all your sons? That was when Jesse said, oh, there's one of them in the but that one is a little boy and he's a bush boy. He's always with the animals. Can you imagine? He wrote off David. He wrote off the right guy. He wrote David off because we look at the physical. The father was surprised that of all these boys, how come he could not even, he's not one of them. Perhaps they were more handsome than David. Get it? So he said, I are all these like, are these all your sons? If he could have even said, yes, these are all my sons. But you know that if he says that, he'll be lying because everybody is there. People were there. You understand? He said, there's one, but that one is a bush boy, and he's a little boy, he's the baby of the house. Somebody said, go get him. In fact, somebody said, nobody sits down until David comes. So everybody was put on punishment. Meaning they were sitting down before. All the elders, the soldiers, everybody stood up until David is brought here. So that's the first one. What is it that is not important that God does not really care about before He chooses someone for an assignment? What are the irrelevant things that He doesn't look at? Because the most important thing, right? Now, what are the things that are not important for God to choose someone? The first one is physical appearance. Now let's look at the second one. Okay, welcome to part 2 of the things that are not necessary. Some factors that are not necessary, what God does not look at when choosing one for an important assignment. There are things that we as humans see as qualifications for a particular task, important task. But some of these are not necessary when it comes to God. And the first thing we look at is in part 1 was physical appearance of a person. The height, the weight, the complexion does not matter. When God wants to choose, He chooses based on other factors which we have already treated in the series before this one. So the second thing God does not look at when choosing a man or a woman is the educational qualification of the person, how educated the person is, how knowledgeable the person is. Doesn't matter. In fact, that is not even in any way considered. So if you think that when you're university graduate, you have your PhD, that will make God to look at you and think, okay, this my son can speak good English, can represent me very well in areas of high intellect. You know what I mean by areas of high intellect. There are some areas in this Nigeria or in this Lagos that if you are not very, very educated, you might not be able to pastor in that area because you have to learn to dress like them or dress in a way that they will be impressed, speak in a way that they will be impressed, you know, and your courage and everything, which we learn from school and from school-related institutions and through grooming and stuff like that. Image makers. Those things are inconsequential when it comes to God. God can pick an illiterate, empower him, and send him to an area of high intellectuals. So it's left for you to listen to him or not to listen to him. If you say because he can't speak Queen's English and you don't hear what's the message that he has for you, that's left for you. So I said that there will always be a reference to the Bible whenever I teach on something. The Bible said that the disciples of Jesus Christ, not all, but many of them were unlettered. Unlettered means they were not schooled. So how did they manage to write the Bible? They were inspired. The Spirit of God can come upon you and you can start speaking a language that you don't even know. The way I am now, the Spirit of God can come upon me and I'll speak French fluently. But there's always a purpose for it, for the expansion of the kingdom. Maybe the people around that area are French speakers and they don't know how to speak English or they don't understand English. So God can make me talk to them. He can use my mouth and my spirit. He can use my mouth. He can take my body and use my mouth to talk to them. God can speak to them through my mouth using French. Or if it's a Portuguese community, I can use my mouth to talk to them. That's another form of speaking in tongues in diverse languages. That was exactly what happened on the day of the Pentecost when they were speaking. So that person you think is not educated, God can use his mouth to speak with English. And when it's done, people don't believe that it was the one that was speaking like that. People will be asked, are you sure this person is not going to university? Are you sure this person is not deceiving us? Because God can do anything. Jesus Christ can do anything. With God, all things are possible. That is it. So God is not looking at your academic qualification. He's not looking at your certificates, your ability to speak with English, your level of education. No. The education that he's looking at is how well your spirit aligns with his purpose. If you meet those three criteria we talked about in the series before now, then the education qualification doesn't matter. Most of the disciples were not lettered. Yes, except some few ones that like the tax collector and Many of them were not lettered, but they were used effectively by the Holy Spirit. After the exit of Jesus, after the ascension from the Mount Olives, many of them they became great representatives, especially from that 33, the Pentecosts. Because before the Pentecost, they were a bit scared, just kind of them gather in the room, don't preach here, just wait. Let me send a helper to come and help you. So God does not look at your academic qualification. Please have that in mind. It's inconsequential. What qualifies you is your heart, your kindness, your selflessness, your love for humanity, your humility. If you have a character that aligns with God, He can pick you and even send you to kings. That's it. So once you have learned all these things, that what doesn't matter when God is choosing, things that don't matter when God is choosing a servant, then you know that you think you are not qualified. You find that you are more than qualified. You're just there for the grace of God to locate you. Yeah. So let's look at the third one in the next part. Okay. The third thing that doesn't matter is part 3. When God is looking to choose a person for his work. The third thing that doesn't matter is, should I say, the age, or how old or how young the person is. Okay, when we say how young, we are not talking about babies that cannot talk. Definitely God cannot be sending a baby that cannot talk on a mission. But God can choose a baby and wait for that baby to grow. And God can also choose an old one. So age is not a factor. So you have listed the first one. The first one was the size, the appearance. The second one was the educational level. You can see that these are totally the opposite of what companies look at these days, right? Companies want to see your appearance. They say appear in person, because they want people that are very, very presentable. They want them to be the ones to represent the company, so that the company, they will say, these people are very, very, they are very cute. So what God looks at is totally different from what companies look at. Companies look at your educational qualification. Company looks at your appearance, then your age. Most companies want to absorb more of the younger generation. Then if they are looking at the older generation, maybe for consultancy, for expatriates, as expatriate, or consultancy, technocrats. But generally, they want to hire younger ones, like within the ages of 22 to maybe 35 or 33. Then if they are taking anybody that is older than that, just that it's for special purpose. But God, okay, look at Samuel. Before Samuel was born, the mother had already said, this boy will work for God. right? Okay. And when the boy was born, the mother gave him milk. You know, children, they take their mother's milk between the age of 0 as soon as they are born, and in some countries a law that you have to breastfeed your child to the age of 2, or so it depends. Okay, let's just say Samuel was just 2 years old or 3 years old when the mother took him to the temple as promised to the house of God. You know, if you look at the story of Hannah and Elkanah, the parents of Samuel, and the second wife was Peninnah, you know how what Hannah passed through, you know, before Samuel came. So he had to tell God that, okay, God, I will be giving you Samuel. Let me just have a boy at least, so that I know that I gave birth to a child, because she was barren and she was being mocked by the other woman who was giving birth like every year. Penina, you know, and Penina would use all sort of names on her to spite her. So the prayer of Hannah was that, God, give me a son, at least. I'll not have a son. Even if the boy doesn't live with me, he will live with you, he will serve you. I will give him to you. But I know I have a child. So that was how Samuel came. And as soon as Samuel stopped taking the mother's milk, Hannah took him to the house of God and handed him over to the priest in the house who was Eli. So that was how Samuel started learning the ropes of prophecy. You know, if you read further, you find out that Samuel was called by God as a little boy to pass a very important message. So you see that. So that is for the case of age. That's for the junior one. So a baby was, even before you were born, God can pick you. That's Jeremiah. God told Jeremiah, said, before you were born, I already made you a prophet. And what about David? David was young. God was the youngest of the family. Right? So talking about old age, what about Abraham? Abraham was already 99 when God promised him that you are going to have a baby from your wife. 99. So the baby came at the age of 100, because the woman will have to, the gestation period last for about 9 months. And the woman was 90 years, because the difference between them was 10. The woman was 90 and the man was 100 when they had a baby. So your age does not matter when God is choosing a person for this work. Can call you at old age, middle age, of like 40s, that maybe like middle age, or early age. So it depends on what he wants to accomplish, and who he wants to carry out the work. So don't say that I'm too old, or I'm already getting weak. God knows your strength. He knows your ability at all points in time. Just the way you know your children. So he won't be giving you something that is too heavy for you. When God gives an assignment, all you need to do is thank you, sir. Because everything you need to complete that assignment, he's going to provide it. So that's it. So what God doesn't look at when he's choosing a person, a man or a woman, for an assignment, is he doesn't look at the person's age. So, and that's, I've given you examples Then we'll move to the part 4 of this talk. Welcome to part 4 of those things that are not necessary to God when He's choosing. What God does not look at. Things that are not important in a man when God is choosing him or her for an assignment. We have talked about the first one. There's a 4th part now. I want you to go back and watch. In fact, start watching from what God looks at, important things. The series before this particular series. Okay. So now we're looking at what God doesn't look at when He's choosing a man or a woman for an assignment. What is it that is not necessary? We have spoken the first one in part 1 of this series. I told that for every series I use the same attire, the same, for you to be able to put the series together. It can be 5, it can be 7. Most times it's like 5. Then when I start a new series, I use a different outfit. So before you see this outfit again, it will take maybe after like 6, 7 series before you'll see a white shirt. It might not necessarily be this. You know what I'm saying? So now this particular series is the things that are not important, are not inconsequential, that are not necessary when God is speaking. Because we are done with the ones that are necessary. So now we're looking at the ones that are not necessary. So this is the 4th part. This is part 4 of it. So the 4th one is God doesn't look at the economic status of the person. He doesn't care whether you are rich, whether you are poor, whether you are from a rich family, whether you are from a poor family. That does not matter to him. That is not even something to be talked to be even considered. Because the book of Isaiah 55, I think for verse 9, he said, the way you think as humans and the way I think as God, there's a large difference. The way you think as human and the way I think, there's a very big difference. He said it's like heaven and earth, the gap. So that's why sometimes you think you are thinking for God. Everything I'm teaching now, is as a result of the study I've carried out about God, based on the scriptures. What he looks at before he picks a person for an important assignment, before he chooses, and what he doesn't look at before he chooses. So we are done with what he looks at, and we are currently on what God doesn't look at. And we have done 3 already, which I will advise to go and go through it, to go and watch it. Then the 4th one, which is this particular part, is he doesn't care whether you are from a rich home. He doesn't look at your pockets. So that's it. So the first king of Israel was from a rich home. Kish. A rich home. Wealthy man. The father of Saul. From the tribe of Benjamin. And Saul was picked. Because what God is looking at is different. He was looking at Saul as a fighter, as a warrior that he can energize. So that's it. So Saul was picked. He was humble, like I said at first. He was humble because there was a time they were trying to get his attention. They were calling, they wanted to, when they were about to inaugurate him, they didn't see him. He was hiding. They had to go and bring him out from somewhere that he was hiding and enthrone him as king. So that's it. So Saul was from a rich home, but David was from a humble home. To get it? Peter, I think James and John, they were fishermen. That's like low occupation. In fact, they were even frustrated on the very night. They've been fishing and they could not catch any fish. They have bills to pay. They have children to feed. I don't know whether Peter had children, please, but I know he had a wife. Stop. They have bills to pay. They have a lot of responsibility waiting for them, and they could not catch any fish. That's kind of frustrating. And somebody came in and said, "Throw that net there." He said, "I should throw the net where? Is it the same place I've been throwing it that I cannot even catch up to? Okay, let's start going. Let's you get it?" So God, Jesus told Peter, said, "Put the net there." Then he obeyed. What happened next? They caught fish. And Jesus Christ told them that I didn't come for this, I didn't come for fish. I came for a man that can get people for me to the kingdom of God. I'm looking for someone that can fish humans to the kingdom of God. And Peter said, "Depart from me, I'm a sinner." He said, "No, I came for sinners." Jesus Christ. I came so that you can have life. Yeah. Okay, so I'll be stopping this series now because I told that most of my videos are done in the night. So that is it. Alright, so God does not look at how rich or how poor you are, your economic status, your wealth status, no. So we'll continue the shooting tomorrow. For some physiological reasons, you noticed that I was. So that is it. Thank you very much, and see you in the next part.